Opening day for the Phillies, just 10 days away. We are just a week and a half from regular season Phillies baseball, spring training wrapping up. We're going to get a Phillies World Baseball Classic check-in and talk over-unders for the 2026 season. This is Hittin' Season. Hey there, podcast pals. I'm John Stolnis from The Good Phight, and this is powered by WHYY in Philadelphia. We got a roundtable edition of the podcast here, talking all things Phillies spring training, World Baseball Classic, as we get ready for opening day. And we're going to go down some numbers. We're going to talk about players and numbers, and we're going to ask whether we think these players are going to go over or under these numbers, and the team as a whole here in 2026. And joining me on the roundtable, Justin Klugh and Liz Roscher. Liz, of course, is the editor of SABR's Baseball Research Journal. You can find her on X and Blue Sky at Liz Roscher. Liz, how we feeling?
Feeling decent. It's been lovely to watch spring training games in a sunny climb. It's been a little dark and rainy here lately, so that's been lovely. It's been fun watching the World Baseball Classic. It's been less fun watching some players.
I don't know who you're talking about.
No
idea who you could be referring to.
About? No one.
Maybe we'll dive into that at some point during
Who
the
knows?
show. It might come up.
We're just a podcast.
That's right. Justin Klugh from Baseball Prospectus, and he also hosts a couple of our podcasts over at the Hittin' Season Patreon, The Dirty Inning and Absolutely Hammered. You can follow him on Blue Sky at Justin Klugh, and if you haven't gotten his book, Summer of the Cheap Wieners, yet, you are missing out, so make sure you do that as well. Justin, how are you, bud?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I see a team taking the field every night in the WBC who is cooler and ruder and sterner and meaner than any of the other teams in a bad way. And that's what the tournament's really about. Not having, a cultural celebration of each other's identities and the sport itself, but rather isolating and alienating the other teams and then, taking super strong stances towards not being friendly to them. That's largely what the tournament's about. So I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying an accurate reflection of the United States.
Yes.
Yeah, it's we've
Sucking the fun right out of it.
There's been some ugly Americanism going on at the World Baseball Classic, unfortunately. Cal Raleigh, I think, has been the face of that. There have been a couple of times his teammates with the Mariners, who are playing for some of the other countries, have come up to shake his hand, and he just sits there and stares at them, refuses to engage in a friendly pregame handshake. I don't know if we're trying to.
This isn't hockey.
Here's my question. Here's my question about this situation. Why didn't they come up? Okay, so they had their little meeting where they were like, let's be really rude and to everybody, and they're like, that'll make us tough. And so they agreed. They decided to do that. Fine, that's the approach you pick. Did they not have a plan for what if somebody tries to shake our hand and they don't know we have the policy of no handshaking? What if they try? So they didn't. They left Kyle Raleigh kind of left to his own devices. He was just like, no. And then
No,
later
teammate.
when another teammate joked with him about potentially doing a fist bump or something at the plate just to lighten the mood, he was like, please don't. And so they just didn't have a backup plan for what if someone tries to be friendly to us? Well, we're being unfriendly. They should have at least had some sort of backup to keep the situation from boiling out of control. They didn't even have
Justin,
that.
I'm gonna give you some big news. They didn't think that far ahead. They thought of the idea, maybe spent 2 minutes talking about it, not even thinking about it. Just everyone in the clubhouse just saying, yes, this is a great idea. Wow. 2 minutes of that. And then they just did it. There was no forethought. There was no one said, let's do a role play and see what happens if someone comes up to one of us. What are we going to do?
Even if they
no one
decided
thought
to
about
just
that.
Slap the hand away was the team policy. At least there'd be a policy. There'd probably be some brawls, but there'd probably be an international incident.
Well,
but at least there'd be a policy.
It was interesting because this all started with Randy Arozarena, who is Cal Raleigh's teammate with the Mariners, tried to shake his hand before their game last week, and Cal Raleigh said no or just refused. And after the game, Arozarena seemed pretty upset about it, and it's been a big story. I mean, obviously, people are, and that's the thing that doesn't make any sense here. I think the genesis of this, and we're going to talk about Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper and Chris Sanchez and Aaron Nola and all that coming up with the World Baseball Classic in just a second. But this is interesting because You see, this is a reaction to what we see with the Dominican Republic and some of the Latin American teams who are over the moon when they do something great, and they're like, they've got their hype men with each other. You know, every single, every double, every home run's a celebration. I mean, it's a brash group, and Team USA, I think, has looked at that and said, we're going to be the guys who have done this before. We've been here before. We're going to be the blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's less fun for sure. But I also think then you saw like Bryce Harper go out of his way on, I guess, what was it, Sunday, talking to the press about, hey, I don't have as cool a high five as Fernando Tatis Jr. or something like that. Or he was saying something along those lines. But I still have fun playing, It was such a weird vibe coming from the team, like, we may look like,
and I don't care about not being elite either, for the record.
right
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
And that's fine. But here they are playing for the championship after beating the Dominican Republic 2-1 on Sunday night. So they're in the finals. They beat a loaded DR team with excellent pitching in that game. The two Phillies who were in that game, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, not a lot of impact, but not really anybody on the offense had much of an impact in the game. Schwarber went 1 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout. Harper went 1 for 4 with his first extra base hit of the World Baseball Classic, a double. And that really is kind of how the Phillies are doing for Team USA right now. Schwarber overall ended up in the WBC as 8 for 22 with a 1,000 OPS. He has a homer. He has 3 RBIs. Bryce Harper is 4 for 24 with 1 double. He has struck out 8 times and walked once. He's hitting 167 with a 231 on base and a 208 slugging percentage. That adds up to a 439 OPS, everybody. So we're having fun, but the OPS is under 450. So, I mean, I think it's all the caveats. And that's where we are at this stage of the season. Justin, we got the caveats, right? I mean, it's early. It's spring. These games don't really count, even though they kind of do. And I did see an article today. I don't know who wrote it, but it said something along the lines of Bryce Harper has been trying to get has been trying for a championship his entire career, and now he has a chance to get one on Tuesday night in the World Baseball Classic.
Well, didn't Aaron Judge just say, like, hey, I think this is I think he said it was bigger than the World Series, or he was.
I hope he didn't say that.
There was something along the lines of that. But I would honestly hope. Aaron Judge calls the World Baseball Classic atmosphere bigger and better than the World Series. So the atmosphere, that's his insulation from saying it directly. Yeah.
Maybe it's because he hasn't been to very many.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So if I want the teams to want to win the World Baseball Classic, and I want them to buy in and treat the tournament as seriously as it deserves to be treated, I don't think any other teams have a problem with that. It doesn't sound like Team USA does either. However, I mean, I would be floored if Bryce Harper considered winning the World Baseball Classic the same thing as winning the World Series, as winning a championship, as if he's checking that box if he wins the WBC. Like, yeah, I don't think so.
Got my title. Yeah, no.
So
there's no ring.
Framing it that way is, it's an attempt to kind of drum up a dramatic narrative. Maybe people bite on it, maybe they don't. But I don't think this one's got any kind of that. There's no juice to that. And as far as like what these performances mean in the long run, as with every preseason, you are free to apply as much or as little emphasis on these numbers as you choose. And obviously, yes, we love to make a big deal out of a guy having a great spring, and we like to ignore a guy having like an absolutely abysmal spring. That's just generally how it goes. But at the end of the day, we all know that none of the numbers in preseason or the World Baseball Classic are going to factor into the Major League Baseball regular season, which is what we're all waiting to see. The baseball games that put numbers in the win-loss columns. However, having said all that, Bryce Harper has set himself up for a ton of extra scrutiny. And you had to know that after the back and forths and the media battles he's been fighting all winter with the elite, not elite stuff, that the next time he was on a baseball field playing a meaningful baseball game, that performance was going to be considered whether or not he was elite, based on the conversation. That's not logical or fair, but that's how that typically goes. And he has put up very bad numbers thus far in the World Baseball Classic. So you do think like, this guy who's been saying all winter, I'm still a tier higher than even apparently my president of baseball operations thinks I am. I have more to give. I'm still elite. I can do this. I don't need the motivation. I can just be great, on my own. I don't need that. So that's not what this is either. And then he goes out and goes 4 for 25 on this global stage that he's so excited to be a part of. And you're like, okay, so what's the deal? And Liz and I touched on this in the last episode, where the more alarming part of this isn't really the 4 for 25. It's the approach that's gotten him there, because the approach is actually something that could carry into the Major League Baseball season, while those numbers don't. So that has been alarming. And not to just focus on him, I want to leave you guys some talking points here too. But yeah, obviously the pitchers being the higher success stories for the Phillies in the World Baseball Classic than the hitters is maybe not unexpected, but it's kind of certainly the story, especially in Aaron Nola's case.
Yeah, Liz, I mean, and let's give Kyle Schwarber his flowers as well, because he has been productive, and I know we all kind of, but I think we all just expect Schwarber to have another great season. There's no worry that Schwarber, even if Schwarber was struggling in the World Baseball Classic, but he just looks like himself, right? I mean, he looks like the same guy. He doesn't. I mean, he just looks like he picked up right where he left off last year in the World Baseball Classic and down in Clearwater before he joined the World Baseball Classic. So kudos to Kyle Schwarber. I mean, he looks like he is ready to go here once this WBC is over and the regular season starts.
He might be the most even-keeled player in baseball, both personality and like actions. Nothing gets him ruffled. He comes back. He's got the same expression on his face. You don't hear a stressed word out of his mouth. He's just ready. He's just always, there's no more proof that he's just that guy. You can put him in a baseball field almost any time. And he's like, all right, are we ready? Are we ready to go? Can I have 5 minutes to practice my swing maybe? But that's all I need. It's great to see him. I mean, and my one thought is that if he starts earlier, we'll see some of those streaks, maybe some of those bad periods a little earlier. But I like that he's getting an early start with at-bats that are meaningful to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they are meaningful to him.
It's been fun watching him.
Yeah, and it's been fun, and that's great. I mean, I do think it is great, and I do think that these at-bats will help these guys in the regular season. I think certainly the concern with Harper isn't the 4 for 24, because you can be 4 for 24 and have a great approach at the plate and hit the ball hard. We've seen him in some of these situations look exactly like the same kind of guy who's trying to be a hero and chase out of the strike zone. I mean, 8 strikeouts and 1 walk. I mean, that's, maybe his eye isn't quite where it needs to be at this part of the season. So nobody is saying that Harper is going to have a season like he had last year because of what we're seeing in the World Baseball Classic. But there's nothing to really get you excited about from what we've seen in the World Baseball Classic with Bryce Harper. And I think that was the thought going into it. It's like, oh, he's got something to prove, and he's got a stage to play for in the spring, and he's going to want to get off to a real good start. And maybe that's resulted in him expanding his strike zone and not allowing him to do well. But again, I don't want to make too much out of a preseason tournament that, I'm sorry, apologies to Aaron Judge, is not nearly as important as the Major League Baseball playoffs. But I do get the environment. Like, these are win or lose, win or go home games. I mean, like, if the baseball playoffs were like this, then it would be a whole lot different. It would probably certainly be, the spectacle would be greater, but certainly I don't think that's what anybody really wants from the Major League Baseball playoffs is a one and done. Could you argue a best of 7 is too much? Maybe, but it's more reflective of a 162 game season anyway. So let's just let this be its own thing, right? The WBC can be its own fun, different thing. And I think I'd be surprised if next time around, if they don't maybe move it to the middle of the season. I mean, I don't know that this is, I think I'm getting rumblings, just reading different things, that maybe the timing of this could elevate it more. Like if they moved it in the middle of the season. Does that make any sense? Does that work at all?
I think they're going to use the Olympics in 28 as a trial, because there's no way that baseball can keep going. I mentioned this before. There's just no way that baseball can keep going in the middle of the Olympics, especially if so many players want to go and play. They're going to have to take a big break, just like the NHL does for the Winter Olympics. They're going to have to take a 2-week break to just accommodate for everything. And I think that going forward will be a model for it. I don't know if MLB will want to sacrifice 2 weeks every year to do because because there's the All-Star game too. And so pairing those together somehow could be interesting in the future if they want to do like a big weekend of All-Star game and then let's see everyone play in the WBC. But, it will be interesting to see how the WBC and the Olympics affect the schedule, the whole baseball schedule going forward.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think what you're saying is right. They're going to definitely use the Olympics in 28 as the trial balloon for the World Baseball Classic, and that'll be fun. That'll be interesting to see how that all works out. We do want to, you mentioned Justin, the pitchers, Phillies pitchers who are still in the spotlight. Christopher Sanchez, his team is done, but not through no fault of his own. In the quarterfinals against Korea, Christopher Sanchez was just unbelievable. 5 shutout innings against Korea, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2 hits allowed in that game. I mean, he's just he's on course for another ridiculous season. I mean, I just can't believe this is the guy we got. The Curtis Mead
everything
trade
we've wanted.
I mean, this is just an unbelievable. It is an unbelievable job that he is doing, and you just pray for health. He's unbelievable.
Jim Salisbury was saying that he's just waiting to hear it formalized that he's the opening day starter. I mean, obviously, if Wheeler's healthy, it's Wheeler. But I don't think. I mean, I wonder what the exact number of years ago you'd have to go back to tell someone that Christopher Sanchez is going to get the nod over Aaron Nola with Zack Wheeler out for opening day, and that was not an obvious thing. This is very much just a guy who was a quad A arm that was up with the team in like camp and stuff at times. And now he's not only a rare Phillies success story, but a rare Phillies like trade that paid off success story, but also like with the Rays involved, you're like, look at that. We won the trade with the Rays. There's a lot of people who would would apply a lot of meaning behind that.
Yeah.
Phillies won a couple of those. Jose Alvarado too was a great Rays trade.
Yeah, beat him in the World Series too. Really, the Phillies have beaten the Rays at every opportunity.
Every chance. They own Tampa. We
gave them late stage Pat Burrell.
That's right.
Hope they liked him.
Exactly. The Aaron Nola also still in the mix for Team Italy. Now there was some hope that if Team Italy won their game against Team Venezuela here on Monday night, we're recording this before that game takes place, that he would be in line to pitch against the Team USA in the finals on Tuesday. But Team Italy is putting their best guy on the mound to try and win this game, which is what makes all the sense in the world. So it'll be Aaron Nola pitching for Team Italy against Team Venezuela tonight in the other semifinal game. So we'll see if Aaron Nola can duplicate what he did a few days ago when Team Italy managed to beat Team Mexico and finish their pool undefeated. It'll be another great sign for Aaron Nola if he can continue to pitch the way he has in a really big game against a really good team. It almost turned into Aaron Nola versus Jesus Luzardo, because Luzardo was asked by Team Venezuela to pitch for them either in the semis or in the finals, but Jesus Luzardo said no, he's going to stay with the Phillies. Dude is all in with the Phillies. He signed that extension. I guess, I'm happy with that decision.
Business.
He's all business. That's right. Jesus Luzardo is all business. And, I'm happy with that decision. Justin, are you happy with that decision? Liz?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of fun. I mean, I think you're learning that his hesitance to go join them probably had to do with these conversations he was having behind closed doors with the Phillies. And now that the extension gets locked in, you could almost kind of feel the hand on his shoulder of the Phillies being like, maybe you just hang back. Maybe we just hang out at camp. And that's essentially what he said, where he was like, I'm rooting for the Team Venezuela. He's like, I'm rooting for those guys. It breaks my heart not being there. But it got kind of complicated with my situation here, having just signed an extension, trying to build up how they wanted me to build up here. It's just unfortunate I'm not going to be able to make it, and you're like, okay, yeah, fine.
He wanted to, but
it's very obvious what he's not doing there. And hey, he would have been a great addition. And that was those quotes were from Jim Salisbury's story. He would have been a great addition to a very fun Venezuela team. They are loaded and they are fun. And watching them play Italy is going to be one of the most fun games of this tournament.
I mean, Team Italy.
So psyched for it tonight. It's going to be a barn burner.
Team Italy, the tournament darlings.
It's unbelievable. It really is fun.
It's what Israel was a few WBCs ago.
Oh,
and let me tell you, please lose. What I do not need from my Italian family is this. I just don't need it. I don't need to hear them taking an interest in Aaron Nola and asking me questions because it's a box they don't want to open. Please don't do it.
But we also don't need other teams sniffing around the Phillies' international pipeline. With the unable to make inroads in Asia, they're tapping into Italy, and we don't want other people thinking like, wait a second,
right?
There's a bed of talent over here.
That's right.
Get away from it.
I want a big Dante Nori game on Monday night.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I want to see a big Dante Nori game here on Monday night. Really launch his minor league season here. So,
that's the most impressive offensive performer for the Phillies in this tournament. Is that not incorrect to say?
That's
true. Absolutely true. So far, Dante Nori.
You want him to come back to camp swinging a big bat and feeling really confident. And this is definitely what is happening. It's such a great start to his season.
And for folks out there who aren't familiar with Dante Nori, where he's gonna probably start the season in Reading. It seems like where he's ticketed, he'll be the everyday starter in center field for the Reading Phightins, and so that's so it's not far from the majors. I mean, you have a good half season, 3/4 of a season in Reading. You can get on the radar in Philadelphia. You don't need to play AAA. That's obviously Johan Rojas is an example of that. So very cool.
For context, just to tell people what we're talking about, he's the team leader on Team Italy in hits with 7, 3 for extra bases, 2 home runs. He's knocked in 5 runs. He's scored 8. He's walked twice. He's stolen a base. I've watched him bunt for a single and knock in a run, I think, potentially. So, the counting stats are what you go to because of the small sample size. But just for fun, I'll also tell you he's hitting .438 with a 1349 OPS in 16 at-bats in this tournament. So, kid's on fire.
Kids on fire.
I love small sample sizes.
Good stuff. So Team Italy, Team Venezuela Monday night, and then Team USA will play the winner of that for the WBC title.
Now picture that, but like 3 espressos deep. That's the kind of performance you're going to get.
That's the energy I need. That's the energy I need with this game. No doubt about it. All right. So as we are just 10 days away from the end of spring training and the regular season starting, let's take a look at I came up with a list of over-unders for the different members of the regular lineup, the best pitchers on the team, top starters, top relievers, and then some team numbers that I want us to just take a swing at whether we think they will go over or under those numbers. And so I did think, I guess I want to start with Bryce Harper. And let's start with a number for Bryce Harper. It'd be easy to pick home runs, it'd be easy to pick OPS, but I want to start off with the number that I think we most associate him with greatness. And that's like in the clutch. And that was one of the things that was missing last year. One of the things that has made Bryce Harper such an impact player is his ability to hit with runners in scoring position and be impactful there. Last year was a Phillies low 265 batting average.
Marriage is what
with runners in scoring position. Yeah. A 265 batting average with, I'm going to say it again, with runners in scoring position. It was 233 a season ago. So I'm setting the number at 265 batting average with runners in scoring position. I'm just not going to say it again. Liz, let me start off with you. Is Bryce Harper over or under 265 with runners in scoring position this year?
Well, Elmer, I certainly think that he needs to be over 233.
Over 233.
He needs to be over 2.
Yes.
From last season. Like, that was atrocious and very painful. If he was 265, I'd be thrilled. I like it. I'm going to hope for the over. I'm going to say let's put him on the over for that one.
So you're over 265 for Bryce Harper.
Let's say, yeah.
With runners in scoring position, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know what his what's a typical number? Like last year was a down year. What's a typical number for him?
He's usually over 300. His first few seasons in Philadelphia, he was well over 300.
Okay. So if he's back on track, I don't think you're out of the realm of possibility that he can hit like that again with runners in scoring position. Like those days aren't over. It's more about like, can he get in there and do what he has to do to hit like that again? Last year, only 3 Phillies had batting averages with runners in scoring position over 265. Obviously, we know Harper wasn't one of them, but it was Turner, Stott, and Bohm, which is probably surprising to people. But
wow.
So I guess I'm looking at the number of Phillies who have proven capable of like hitting that well and with runners in scoring position and are given opportunities to hit with runners in scoring position. Harper's on the higher end of that for obvious reasons. And I mean, 265 isn't, like, based on what I just said, isn't even going to be like the highest on the team by far. So I'm going to say over as well, because I don't think that really, if he's making the adjustments he needs to make and hitting like he's supposed to hit, that shouldn't be that hard of a mark for him to hit. That really is setting the bar low. So yeah, let's go over.
So in 2024, he was 331 with runners in scoring position. In 2023, he hit 272 with runners in scoring position. Let's see, bases occupied. He was at 354 in 2022 with runners in scoring position. And then in 2021, he was 330. So you could see well over 300 in 3 of those 4 years. And in the other year, it was 274, I think I said. So yes, historically, this has been a strength for him. And it's one of the reasons why he wasn't as impactful last year, is he just, again, didn't deliver the way that he used to in those situations. And that's where we saw a lot of the chasing and where we saw a lot of the weak flyouts and some of the other things and some of the stuff we've seen in the World Baseball Classic this year. 265, that's the number I landed on. I'm going to say he'll be over. I don't think it's going to be, though, over 300. And I think it's going to be a little over 265. I think he'll be in the 270s would be my guess. I think there'll be an improvement over last year, but I don't think it's going to be that high impact like we saw from him in his first few seasons, his best seasons in Philadelphia. So I'll say over, but not a whole lot over 265 with runners in scoring position for Bryce Harper. All right, Trea Turner. Oh, you go ahead.
Fun fact,
Yeah.
Max Kepler hit 160 with runners in scoring position last year. So it was more about...
That's not a surprising statistic, I will tell you.
Runners in jogging back to the dugout position was actually how they changed that stat for Max Kepler. Please continue.
If only we could have seen the Max Kepler thing happening in real time last year. If only somebody was calling that in real time last year. All right. Goodness. And he was on the drugs too. He was even on the steroids. I mean, come on, man.
It's like Max Kepler being shown one of those old anti-drug commercials going like, "This is you on drugs." And he's like, "Wow, 160? What an improvement."
Not necessarily a fried egg in the frying pan, more like a poached egg. All right. Nobody else remembers that commercial but me. All right. Trea Turner. You do? All right, good. We got some. Yeah, all right. I have the Trea Turner batting average. Last year, he led the National League. Obviously, I think it was a 304 batting average last year, if I'm remembering correctly. I can look that up in the minutes we're talking here. But I have him at 290 this year, a 290 batting average. Justin, what is your over under on Trea Turner's batting average for 2026? Over or under 290?
Well, one of the ways we're reaching the end of spring training is there's recently a story by Todd Zalecki where he was asking Trea Turner for running tips because he is going to, I think the implication was he was going to be running a race, Zalecki. And so he was asking Trea Turner, like, "Hey, how do you steal so many bases, you're fast, you're great at running. Like, give me some tips on running." So yeah, I mean, if you just want to start the season, you can just go ahead and start the regular season. When stories like that start coming out, it's like, yeah, all right, I think we're about wrapped up here. We can move back up north and start getting the ball rolling. So I think with that being said, Turner's probably had the benefit of not playing in the WBC. You really haven't heard too much about him, and it's been sort of a quiet spring because of the focus being split and because of Harper and because of Schwarber, and he's like one of the superstars on the team who's not getting a ton of scrutiny. I don't know if you want to say it's paid off, but I think he's had a solid spring, and I think he's ready. So I'm ready to say over on that particular number. I think you can rely on what you saw from Turner last year at least one more time, and yeah, I think he's capable of that.
Justin, that was the same question I was asking myself. Like, how many more times can we feel confident that he'll repeat this? Because those are questions that we asked ourselves about Bryce Harper, and we're sort of actually experiencing it now somewhat. But I think you're right. Trea Turner has at least one more elite season in him. So I'm going to go with the over.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the over as well. I don't know that he hits 300 as well as he hit last year. He gets so many plate appearances and plays so many games. Like, you just got to pile up hit after hit after hit. It's got to be like 200 hits in order to really be in the high 300s. But yeah, I see no reason not to give him that benefit of the doubt and get him over 290. Again, it wouldn't be a bad season if he was in like the 280s. Not at all. But I don't think he's going to win another batting title. But certainly over 290, I think I will take the over on that as well. I think that's kind of where the smart money is. But I think that's a good number for him. I think that's a good line to place that at in terms of like, where I think the midline is for him. All right, Kyle Schwarber, 56 home runs a season ago. And I think that would be a lot, expecting him to do that again. The question is, can he get back to 50? I've set the over-under number at 48 home runs for Kyle Schwarber. And I'll start with this one. I say that he goes over 48. I say we have back-to-back 50 home run seasons for Kyle Schwarber. I've just loved what I've seen in the spring. It just feels like such easy, natural power. The swing is right there. He seems to have just closed every hole in his swing that he's ever had. And he's back, and he's happy, and he's like, it just seems so relaxed. Like Liz, you said, the most even-keeled superstar in baseball. I just think it's going to be an easy 48 to 50 home runs for him this year, and I'll stay over 48.
I'll say the same. I was just looking at his home runs and, over the course of him being with the Phillies, and 3 of the 4 years he's been over 40 by a lot. So I'm more than confident saying 48, especially given what he did last year. So much fun to watch. I hope he repeats it again. I'm sure he will.
I feel like you can never rely on any player from Rafael Belliard to Barry Bonds to have a 60 home run season, simply because even if they're capable of it, it's still so anomalous an achievement that being like, yeah, well, our offense doesn't work unless that one guy hits 60 is you're putting him in a tough position. So I'm kind of approaching this more as offering Kyle a cushion expectation-wise after such an elite-level performance last year. So I'm saying under because I've been putting him at like 45 home runs, as like a, hey, man, you carried them. Let them carry you a little bit this time, just based on like the ebb and flow of the sport and like how things balance out. I just feel like I don't want to call it a lull because it's still going to be a ton of home runs, but I'm trying to give him a little lower expectation so that when he does beat it, it's like, all right, cool. That didn't need to happen, but it sure did help.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And again, a 45 home run season for Kyle Schwarber is just fine. We will take a 45 home run season from Kyle Schwarber, no doubt. I do want to interrupt our over-unders. This isn't breaking news, but the Phillies are playing the Tigers right now as we're recording this at 1:35 Eastern time here on Monday afternoon. After the first inning, the Phillies are down 7-0 to the Tigers. No. Now, lest you be worried that a Phillies pitcher of note is the one who's imploding like this, fear not. It's a gentleman by the name of Chuck King. I'm going to show everybody who's watching on saying Chuck King, and I want
to he's a shadow man.
Up today. I was going to bring him up today because I was like, wow, what are the odds? Another pitcher with a name only a pitcher could have. A guy literally named Chucking.
He is chucking the ball, but I want everybody to see the full name if we could.
A little lower, John.
I don't know if I can say the middle name, Charles Fuggitt King.
Huh.
Charles, I'm going to say Fugit King, just because I don't feel comfortable saying it the way I think it actually is supposed to be said.
If you say it with the G's, it's not a swear.
Why haven't Phillies fans been talking about this all the time?
I don't know.
This feels like a huge miss. Huge miss.
Know. He was with the team last year. Apparently, he was with the team in spring training last year. Pitched 1/3 of an inning. And now he's back, and he gave up 6 earned runs in 2/3
Don't get
of an inning.
too excited.
Did not get out of the first inning. Daniel Harper finished up the first inning. Well-known Daniel Harper finished up the first inning for the Phillies to get him out of that jam. Okay, we get back into it now. I just thought that was really important for us to address in the moment.
Wow. Chuck
Over-under on Chuck King.
Chuck King has given up more home runs today, or more hits today, than Bryce Harper has in total at the World Baseball Classic. Fun stat.
It's all coming full circle. See how we connect the dots, friends? That's how we do it. All right.
I love numbers.
Let's get back to the over-unders here. JT Realmuto. I have games caught. I'm going to put the number for games caught for JT Realmuto at 130. And we keep hearing from the Phillies that at some point he's going to catch less games. Like they're going to lighten up on his workload, but I'll believe it when I see it. He caught 134 games last year. Justin, over or under 130 games for JT?
I was actually looking forward to saying under, and I think you better get ready for Marchand mania this season. I think this will be the year. But in truth, now that conversation we had about the ABS system and the role Realmuto could play in that, I think the Phillies might be a little more motivated to keep him on the field once in a while, honestly, than maybe even the last few years. I think they're gonna make some kind of effort because a catcher's knees are a catcher's knees, regardless of who you are. But at the same time, they found this new part of his job, and we are expecting him to make an impact by doing that part of it. So he can only do that when he's on the field. So yeah, given his natural state of stubbornness, I guess I'm going to say over, that he's going to just be on the field probably around the same amount as last year, not too far over 130. But yeah, I think you're safe saying over, because as much as I want to say Marchand mania, even there, like, you're still not sure whether him or Stubbs are going to make the roster even. So the backup situation is far from fully realized. So yeah, I guess you got to say over.
I agree. I think it's got to be the over. I mean, yeah. I was with you originally, Justin. I'm like, they can't let him catch as many games. Like, it's a month of games that he didn't catch, but that's a month of games he wasn't playing. It's not like they put him somewhere, like they had Schwarber sit for a game. I think he was injured for a decent part of that. Wasn't he injured for a bit last year? Or am I thinking of, I think I might be thinking of the year before. But either way, like, I really thought that they couldn't let him, but the ABS changed so much. If any Phillies executive was watching the WBC game on Sunday night, they know how important it is, because there is no ABS system at the WBC. And that the last pitch of the entire game was an atrocious call. Call. But I think Dan Iasonia, I'm not sure who was behind the plate last night, but Dan Iasonia sucks. He has sucked and will continue to suck.
Yeah,
he does not.
There's an exciting article coming out in the Baseball Research Journal, which will be out in April sometime, about measuring the effectiveness of umpires as they age. I'll ask you to take a guess what you think happens.
Good. I would say that it's probably not great that as they age.
It's a fascinating paper. Yeah. I'm excited for everybody to read it.
Yeah, very fun.
Real quick update. That guy that Matt Winkleman said no one's allowed to get excited about, Felix Reyes, hit a 3-run home run, so now it's only 7-3. So look at you, John. I won't get
excited, though. I won't get excited. I listen to my elders, and I will not get excited. Matt. I'll say, as far as JT Realmuto, I'll say over 130 games caught as well. I think you're right. They paid him 3 years, $45 million. They're not paying him to play less games. And I think with ABS, you're right. He's gonna be out there. He's gonna be out there a lot. All right, we got a bunch here. Let's see if we can move through these a little bit. Bryson Stott, I've got the over-under for his OPS this year, 730 for Bryson Stott. It was 719 last year. He had 4 terrible months, 2 great months to finish off the season. 719 OPS. Again, I'm not convinced that he's going to figure it all out and be like this all-star second baseman, but I will probably set the over for Bryson Stott at 730. That's I'm going to say he'll be over 730, maybe 750-ish. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Liz?
I love Bryson Stott and will always love him forever. And so I'm going to pick the over on this. I always want him to do well, and I'm always going to hope that he does better. And so I'm on the over whether or not it's realistic.
Boy, has it been... I feel like it was only natural after 2 seasons to be out on Bryson Stott. Supportive, but just kind of out on any kind of breakout. But the problem is, he's kind of been breaking out for like a while now, since the last month of last season.
Last August.
And it gets pretty not overlooked. It gets mentioned, but yeah, no, it gets overlooked by a lot of these more predominant narratives that have defined the Phillies, leading up from last year till now. And Stott is kind of, like the phrase you keep hearing is, picking up where he left off, and he really is. He is one of the top Phillies offensive performers in spring training right now. He was mentioned in the Athletics list of like the one guy on every team who's turning heads this spring, and that was compounded by Charlotte Varnes wrote a feature about him and the adjustments he's made as far as like why he's been able to hit better, lowering his hands, adjusting his hip, pulling the ball as much as possible, less movement in his swing. And you know what that makes him with the numbers he's been putting up? Another Kevin Long success story that no one will remember when they're calling for his head on Memorial Day. But regardless, I'm kind of coming back on Stott, man. These are promising these are promising numbers. They really are. He's even has 5 hits against lefties this spring, and that was after Thompson was like, "Hey, I'm probably still going to use Edmundo Sosa as a platoon because he hits lefties so much better." But that was back in February that he said that. Yeah. Maybe thoughts are a little different now. Stott's just been really impressive. I'm ready to not be so far out on him, so I'm going to say over. And that's the last guy I'm going to talk so long about, so we can move through the rest of these quickly.
That's all right. Well, let's
welcome
talk about
you back
a guy...
to the fold, Justin.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about a guy who no one has any opinion about, and that's Alec Bohm. I've got the over/under for Alec Bohm. We're going to do home runs for him. Last year he hit 11. For a guy as big as he is, he does not hit for a lot of power, but here in the spring, he's been powering up and energizing. So I put the over/under at 15 home runs for Alec Bohm. Justin, start off. Do you think he's going to go over 15 or under 15 home runs?
Over. Your spring training leaders in offensive categories include home runs, Alec Bohm with 5, and RBI, Alec Bohm with 9. These are not numbers that are out of line with his overall contributions. He's always been an RBI machine based on where they put him in the lineup. He's been able to come through. So yeah, I'm gonna say over. I mean, as far as the guys formerly known as daycare go, yeah, Brandon Marsh is having a pretty terrible spring at the plate. But regardless, they were the 3 guys at the top of this offense last year. They were all hitting over 300. Some of them well over 300, starting in the last month or last year. Well, back as like John said, back in August. So yeah, I'm saying over on Bohm.
I'll take the over. Hard to deny. I'm with you, John. I always thought that he should hit a lot more home runs than he does because he is like a hill giant of a person. But it just hasn't come to pass. It would be nice to see him take advantage of some of that. I wonder if it's a choice about where he places the emphasis on his strength. Because you need a certain type of strength for home runs, and maybe he wants to save that for extra base hits or something like that. So I'd love to see if it's an intentional thing for him, but I'd like to see him go over 15. So I will say yes, over 15.
I'll take the under on that. I think I just think he's a guy who's limited in his power. I mean, I think he's going to have, maybe I should have done doubles with him. That's probably the more important number for him. But everybody every spring keeps saying, has he found his power? He's accessing his power. A lot of it's just spring too. So I don't know.
Why do you hate Alec Bohm, John?
You know what? I'm not the biggest fan. I'm just going to say it. Not the biggest fan. Okay. I think there's a very limited ceiling on the young man, but I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he hits 25 bombs or 20 home runs or whatever this year. But
look, the Phillies are a gift that is rewrapped and regifted to us every year. And each year we open it and go, oh my goodness, it's just what I wanted. And recently part of that gift has been Alec Bohm. So we're just back around to the part where we're opening the box and going, oh, it's Alec Bohm. Yeah, hey, old Alec. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, newcomer Adolis Garcia. We're gonna look at his on base percentage. It was 271 a year ago. That's not good. It was 284 in 2024. I'm gonna put the over under. I'm gonna say a slight bounce back, but still not great. I'm gonna give him a 290 on base percentage. Is that too pessimistic, Liz? Is it need to be higher than that? Is he gonna be over or under a 290 on base percentage, which again is pretty lousy?
I'm on the under with this. I have no faith in Adolis Garcia. He is not my Max Kepler, but I see why the Phillies signed him. I just have no faith that he's going to make a big difference or be anything more than he already has been. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I'm going to stick with the under.
took a single comment from John for us to label him a Max Kepler hater this year. Look at Liz already just be like, oh, this is not my Max Kepler moment. So don't
No, I have
assign
not
me
been-
Adolis Garcia as the guy.
I haven't been ranting about him in an unhinged way for several weeks. So
That's not what it took with Kepler either. But
It's fully hinged.
It sounds like Liz is Adol out on Adolis this year. And that's a real bummer. You're going to be hearing a lot about that in the next few weeks, folks.
Yeah.
What a rough personal grudge she has against him. What was the question? Oh, right. Adolis Garcia tied for the spring training lead in walks. I'm going to say above 290 on base percentage this year. Go, Adolis, go.
I'll say, as pessimistic as I am, I feel like maybe I put that number a little bit too low, but 2 straight years in the 200s, that's why I kept it there. But I'll say 300. I'll say he'll get like in the low 300s. So I'll say over, but again, not great. Brandon Marsh, wins above replacement. I'm putting the number at 3 wins above replacement, 3.0. It was only 1.7 last year, which was surprising to me that it was as low as it was. It was 3.4 and 3.1 the previous 2 seasons. So, Justin, do we feel Brandon Marsh is going to go over a 3 wins above replacement or under 3?
Spencer Torkelson just absolutely torched a pitch. 8-3 again. Brandon Marsh, I feel like I got to start being sort of realistic here. But like I said, if you dismiss the spring numbers, which I haven't done in any other player's case, but in the case of Brandon Marsh's, which are bad, I think I will choose to. And go off his numbers from last year, which were very good by the end. One of the Phillies' better hitters in the second half. So, since he's done it before, too, I think it's more normal for him to have a 3 and change WAR season. So I think with him in excellent playing shape and doing what he's got to do, I think that's perfectly feasible that he would have over 3 WAR this year.
I think he's going to be under, purely because I think the Phillies are still really committed to platooning him. And if he's platooned, I think that's one of the main reasons why his WAR wasn't as high last year. He just simply didn't get enough opportunities. Yeah. So, I'm going to have to go with the under.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. This might have more to do with how Justin Crawford does in center. Because if that blows up, then Marsh moves over, playing time shifts, and, who knows what numbers go up.
Absolutely.
Well, Marsh has always performed better in WAR when he's in left field as opposed to center field, too. So if he can stay in left field, that actually probably helps him, even though center field's a more important position because he's just better there in left field. So, but I will say he'll be under 3. I think he'll be in the mid-2s, somewhere like that. Again, Liz makes a good point about platooning. It's hard to generate 3 wins above replacement as a platoon guy. All right, Justin Crawford. I'm setting the OPS at 700 for Justin Crawford. It feels aggressive for me, and I'm going to say under Justin Crawford. Although I have enjoyed what I've seen from him this spring, I am a little bit more optimistic on his ability to impact things a little bit better than I was initially thinking, Justin. But I'm going to set the over-under for Justin Crawford's OPS at 700. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm going to play it conservatively here too, just because I could see it where his OPS is well above 700 for like a stretch of time where he looks like really good, but then kind of regresses in like a very rookie kind of way as perhaps the league adjusts to him and pitchers kind of learn how to pitch to him a little more, and maybe then you start to see some sagging in place, and that's where that drop off would occur. But I don't want to take away any of the excitement of his debut, but I'll go under. He's got a lot of room to grow.
Liz.
Same all across the board.
Yeah, I'll say under as well. I think he's going to be in the 600s, upper 600s this year. I think that's probably more realistic for Justin Crawford. And hopefully, adds enough value defensively and running the bases that, you're still a 2.5 win player doing that. And he's going to be the 9-hole hitter too. So, I can live with 680 and good defense and good base running. All right, that's what I have for the everyday position players. Let's run over a couple of pitchers here. Aaron Nola, I'm setting his ERA, again, it was over 6 a season ago. I'm setting it at 3.75. And as I'm reading it, it feels low to me, but I think I think it feels like it's a too good of a number maybe to set it at. Maybe it should be at 4, like a 4.0 ERA. Maybe I'm just overly optimistic about this spring so far. Maybe he gets torched tonight, and I'm like, no, okay, we'll put about 4.2. But I'm going to set it at 375 for right now. Liz, what do you think?
I'm going to have to go with the over on that. I'm sorry. I want it to be true, but Aaron Nola has burned us all. Let's not forget. He has burned us all. And I feel like this is a great opportunity for him to burn us again. So I'm just going to say I'd rather him impress me and surprise me rather than disappoint me. So I'm going to go with the over. He'll definitely be above that.
Justin.
Yeah, over.
You talk about my Max Kepler. We know who Justin's Max Kepler is.
Yeah, we do.
Young Aaron Nola. And I will say, yeah, I think this is why I put it at 375 because I am kind of torn on this. I guess I will also say a little over. I don't think he's going to be in the fours, though. I think he's going to be in the upper threes, but I think it'll be a little bit higher than 3.75. But I wasn't sure if maybe you guys would be a little bit more bullish than we had been maybe a month or two ago. But
nope.
No, I think you're both still kind of where you were, and that's kind of where I probably should be too.
Do you really think that? Did you actually think that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
little bit.
okay.
Yeah.
Wild.
I guess
Yeah.
I don't know
remembering
you.
this.
I don't know you like I thought
Over.
Over.
Understood. Christopher Sanchez, your opening day starter. I'm putting him at 16 wins. We talked last week. Eric Karabell of ESPN predicted his bold prediction was he'd get 20 wins. Nobody wins 20 games in baseball anymore, but with a better bullpen, saying Chris Sanchez, 16. I'm saying the over-under at 16 wins. That's a lot of wins. I mean, even as good as he is, it's really hard for a pitcher to get 16, 17, 18 wins this year. That being said, I'm going to say over Christopher Sanchez, 16 wins. Justin's laughing. No, you don't think so, huh?
A real zigzag there. I was like, you're talking me like when you do a preamble that's all points that are opposite to the point I'm going to make. I'm like, now I got to make my point
wrong.
with him laying out all these great points, but then you zigged right back to the other side right at the end. I'm going to say over too, because simply because what can Christopher Sanchez do wrong right now? You know, like that's what, and I know it's kind of honestly, no offense, Judd, it kind of sucks that pitching wins are the stat we're using for our Chris Sanchez over under. But that being said, I'm just going to say over because I don't know what stat you could have used that I wouldn't have said that for.
Well, that's the kind of thing that's
Same
the biggest
thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's the biggest influx number with him because I think everybody knows his ERA is going to be great. He's going to pile up a bunch of strikeouts. He's going to pitch a bunch of innings. There's no interesting number for Christopher Sanchez unless you want to talk about strikeout totals, but I wanted to save that for Jesus Luzardo. So
no hitters thrown.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
I feel like he can do it someday.
I'll say 0 as well because I don't
whatever
think
number you
people
got,
do
I'm going to take
that
the under. On that. No offense. Let's do Jesus Luzardo. We're going to talk strikeouts for Jesus Luzardo, and I've got the number at 210 for him. Last year, he set a career high with 216 strikeouts, and he could pitch more innings this year than he did a season ago. So, Liz, 210 strikeouts for Jesus Luzardo. Do we get a repeat of last season and maybe even a little bit better?
Yeah, I'll take the over on this. He was injured for a bit last year. He had that horrible period of starts, really awful. And I think he does better both in health and in his consistency this year. So yeah, I'm on the over. Let's see it.
Yeah, you kind of saw just throughout his career, as he was able to any season where he was able to stay on the field and wasn't hindered by X factors. 210 is about, he can do that. Those are good. He's proven that he's fully capable of that. So I'm going to say over as well because I think Jesus Luzardo has never been in a better spot. He's locked up. He's with a team that's contending, and he's a really good pitcher. All you got to do now is throw.
He's learned a new sweeper, right?
Yeah.
He's got the sweeper. That's what really helped him last year. He's got this new pitch in his arsenal against right-handers, and that's what really helped him pile up all those Ks. And I don't see that changing anytime soon either. So I'm going to say over 210. 210 strikeouts is a lot of strikeouts. It's a lot of strikeouts. So it's not easy to do back-to-back seasons to go over 210 strikeouts. It also requires a lot of health. It requires him he made 32 starts last year. He made 32 starts a season ago. So
And he was still out for a little bit. That's wild.
And 2 seasons ago, he also started 32 games for the Marlins and threw 208 strikeouts. So, like, that's what I mean. If he's out there, he can do it.
He can do it.
Yeah.
Zack Wheeler, we're going to do starts for Zack Wheeler simply because health is the biggest question mark with him. And how many starts do we think Zack Wheeler is going to make? A typical pitcher makes 32. Like we were saying, 31, 32 starts during the course of a season. So I'm putting the number at 25, which means I think he's going to miss probably 6 or 7 starts during the course of the year. Liz, what do you think? Over or under on 25 starts for Zack Wheeler?
I'm going to say under, but barely. Just 25 is a big number for a guy who had like a serious health issue last year. And as much as the Phillies say he looks great, I feel like once the regular season starts, they are going to slow play him just a little bit. So I think, my thought is like 23, 24, but like 25 is just a big number.
Yeah, I think Zack Wheeler fully intends to start more than 20 games, but that's about where I'm putting him because I'm just giving him a generous cushion. His health and everything should be treated with the utmost carefulness, especially if the Phillies have a rotation that's as good as they think it is, which, I think they're not totally wrong. So they're built to have a rotation that can survive without Wheeler, not forever, but for as long as it seems to take for him to be back to 100% again. He's throwing what? He's throwing bullpen again? He's throwing off a mound again?
He's throwing live bullpen, yeah.
Live bullpen, yeah. So he's well on his way, and every update we get is positive. But even so, yeah, I put him at 20 games just because. Yeah, you want to. I think 20 Zack Wheeler starts can still help this team, and again, the point is to get him fully healthy because he's coming back from something real serious.
I think the number is going to be about 25. I think he probably misses 3 or 4 starts at the start of the season, and then maybe 1 or 2 more during the course of the regular season once it gets started, which puts him right around 25, 26. I think that's kind of going to be the number. So I will say. I think it's going to be right there. So I will go on the over on that. But just like, again, just a start or 2 more than that. I think once he's in the rotation, I don't think he's going to leave. I don't know that I think we say it would be smart for them to do all those things you're talking about. I think when push comes to shove and Zack Wheeler's feeling good and he wants to pitch every 5th day, I think they're going to let him pitch every 5th day, provided, all the medicals look pretty good. So I don't know. We'll see. Andrew Pater, the rookie. Had a whip last year in AAA of 1.492. He got hit around a little bit, walked a lot of guys. His command wasn't good. You guys talked about him on the last episode of the podcast. He's looked better here in spring training, but in that 3rd inning last week, his flat fastball did flatten a little bit, and he got hit around a little bit. Should have been out of the inning, but the stuff also wasn't as great in the 3rd inning, but the first 2 innings were phenomenal. So I think we're still kind of really not sure where Andrew Pater is in his progression. He certainly is still, he's not the guy that we saw 3 years ago in spring training as a 19-year-old. So I think I'm going to put his whip, which for people who aren't familiar with that statistic, it's walks plus hits per innings pitched. I'm putting it at 1.300. I'm going to say it's better than last year's 1492, but 1300 is still not great. You're probably looking at like an ERA in the high 4s if you've got a whip around there. So that's kind of where I am with Andrew Pater. Liz, what do you think about that?
I feel like that's kind of on the money, but I'm still, I think, going to. I want him to stay up the whole season, so let's just say it's under, but barely. I think that's not a bad number for him to be at, especially with the expected ERA like in the high 4s. That's not an unreasonable expectation for a first-year pitcher with the history of Andrew Pater.
Man, projections, if you're a believer in those, put him under 1 with as far as whip goes. So they are very hopeful over on Baseball Reference that stat is not going to be, indicative of anything too problematic. And actually over at Fangraphs, it's even lower, or I guess maybe about the same. So yeah, they're all putting him at about like 0913 as far as whip goes. So who knows? These projections are always
stuff, man.
Yeah, I want to see what Matt Winkelman, Phillies prospect guru, has to say about that, because I think he might laugh.
Yeah. So basically, when it comes to Painter, when it comes to Crawford, I'm giving these guys all the leeway in the world. So I'm going to say over. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to say over on this,
Okay.
just because we'll see what we'll see. It's I'm being hopeful, but we'll see what we'll see here. We all know how last year went. We all know what he's coming back from.
Liz, and I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a little under. Actually, I agree with Liz. I think it's gonna be a little bit under 1.3. I think it'll be in the 1.2s, but I don't really have any good basis for that. Just how I feel.
Yep, just feelings.
It's all feelings with him right now. It's totally wait and see. Couple of relievers, Jhoan Duran. I'm putting the number at 40 saves. First time the Phillies have had a regular closer during this run. Jhoan Duran's a really good one. He's come up with a new pitch, which acts as like a splitter changeup to go along with his splinter and his fastball. So I think 40 saves is might be low on that. Liz, 40 saves over under for Jhoan Duran.
I'll take the over. I want to see it. I want to see them have a closer, have a good closer, and have a guy that you could depend on at the end of the game. We have not seen that in so long. Like, the last memory I have is like it was Kimbrel, but that doesn't count. Before that, it might have been Papelbon, and that was just painful.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I want this.
I'm gonna say under, just from what he's been able to do in the past, and I want them to be able to rely on him. But I'm gonna say high 30s, mid to high 30s, but 40's too high.
And Jose Alvarado, last player we're going to talk about here, strikeouts per 9. Over the last 4 years, last year was 11.1, but again, he missed half the season, and due to the banned substance suspension of 80 games, and then he missed most of September too. Once he came back, so a weird year for Alvarado. In 2024, it was 9.2 strikeouts per 9. The 2 years before that, 13.9 and 14.3. So that number has come down over the last couple of years, and I don't know how much to trust the 11.1 from a season ago, but I think he's looked decent in the spring. So Justin, I've got him at 9.3 strikeouts per 9, which would be just a tick over the lowest he's had in Philadelphia so far.
Yeah, I'll go higher. I think he'll. I think even more so than coming back last year with the specter of not being able to contribute in the postseason kind of hanging over his head. I think he's gonna be in a headspace where he's got to get the lead back essentially. And I think given what he's been able to do and his talent level, that he's fully capable of doing that.
Liz, what do you think?
I agree. Let's go higher. I like the idea of him being better than he was, and I think without the strikeout stuff, you have a hard time keeping him around. And so I'm going to go higher.
Yeah, I'll say I think he's going to be a little higher than that too. I think we'd do that. I like the Jose Alvarado bounce back. All right, I'll do one more here, and this is going to involve our good friend Garrett Stubbs. Number of Garrett Stubbs starts in the outfield in 2026, gang. How many? Maybe even not starts. Garrett Stubbs is never going to start a game in the outfield. Let's see how many games he appears in the outfield in any capacity here in 2026. They're trying to work him in here in the spring. I'm setting the over-under at 0. So, Justin, I want to get your thoughts on the number of games we will see Garrett Stubbs start in the outfield. Higher or lower than 0?
Lower. I'm feeling
Can he
more
make
and more
negative starts?
That's what we're going for here.
He's out of options, and but the thing is, so is Marchand. So really, when you're making a choice here, you're making the same kind of choice, just based on like how do they look this year? And I've kind of come all the way back around on Stubbs. I feel like his role on the team is different now, and the team is a little different now. And I don't see as much value in what he provides, even if he plays like a passable outfield. Remember, that's what you're paying Adolis Garcia $10 million for.
Right. And
so I don't. You can't be doing that. Like, that's what it really comes down to. You're starting Garrett Stubbs. We're considering starting Garrett Stubbs in the outfield, or maybe somewhere in the infield. Yeah, you can't be doing that.
Well, I'm even saying not even starting anymore. Let's just leave I said starting on the sheet because I was thinking, even getting in a game for an inning or two. Like, I don't see it.
I feel the same way. My opinion is the same.
I mean, I think part of the reason I don't see it is because I think they're going to have to release him, because I don't think there's any way they keep him up with the team. And if he's out of options, like, I mean, what's left? I don't think he's better than Rafael Marchand. But if they were going to keep him, that's the thing. If they were going to keep him up for the whole year, I would say he would make between 3 and 5 appearances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
mostly during position player pitching games. Yeah. They'll have someone who's not him come in, but they'll bring in whoever else from the outfield and put Garrett Stubbs out there along with, whoever, every other bench player. So that is how I could see him getting into a game. But that's only if they decide to keep him.
Did I miss the part where Garrett Stubbs suddenly became a bat that you need to have on your roster? And we got to figure out a place for him because the bat is too good to be without? Like, did that happen at some point? I'm not aware of it. No?
I was okay advocating for him simply as a locker room presence last year. And the Phillies didn't seem to value that too much because, he was not with the team for most of last year. So
make him a coach. What are we doing here?
Spring training instructor.
I mean,
Gulf Coast League manager.
He's got to want to retire. So that's got to, but when he wants to retire, make him a coach, bring him on board or something. It's just all the Garrett
That's
stuff.
a no-brainer.
Doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't get it. I don't get it. All right, let's wrap up with some final thoughts on our next round table. By the way, we'll do our whole season preview. So we'll break down all the divisions. We'll tell you who we think is going to go to the playoffs. We'll give you some Phillies over unders as a team, and we'll do our yearly kind of longer podcast where we break down the whole season and take a look at what's coming up in 2026. So for now, we're going to finish up with some final thoughts. Justin, what do you got for us with any final thoughts?
Well, I didn't hear one name during the over-under breakdown, and that was of key offensive contributor, nay, perhaps the central pillar of the Philadelphia Phillies offense, Otto Kemp.
Yes, that's true.
Who, according to Jim Salisbury, the club remains intrigued by Otto Kemp's bat, even though he's had a slow spring. Is his bat full of snakes? Does it keep asking them questions? What is intriguing about this particular bat, I wonder? Regardless, Salisbury continues, he could see platoon time in left field. What? I thought the whole offense rotated around Kemp based on how the Phillies have talked about him in the recent past. Dave Dombrowski told reporters earlier this offseason, I think Otto Kemp has a chance to be an everyday player. He has a chance to be an everyday player next year. We really like him. We like his makeup. He has thump in his bat. That ball jumps off his bat. He can play a couple different spots as we've seen. Where that would end up happening, where he would play all over the place, that is also a possibility, but we really like him a great deal. Kind of sounds like Garrett Stubbs' job that he's getting interviewed for now currently, so I'm not sure what that tells you. And according to Paul Casella, Rob Thompson said that Otto Kemp might see some corner outfield, a little bit of infield work, third base, second base, maybe a little bit of first base. Again, this sounds like the role Garrett Stubbs is they're like considering him for, but really, focus on the outfield more than anything else. Now, I'm just saying this because there was just a lot of Otto Kemp stuff earlier in the offseason. And now it's like, he leads the league in strikeouts in Clearwater. So, I don't know. I mean, wasn't it going to be that Otto Kemp was going to prove who he was at the spring and they were just really high on him? And now we kind of have some results from that. And what's changed? I'm just very curious. What's the role here? But other than that, as far as final thoughts go, new episode of The Dirty Inning went up this week. It is about Bill Mazeroski, who passed away this offseason back in January. It was about a couple of games he played against the Phillies back in his rookie season with the Pirates. So that was a lot of fun, and we have a new episode of The Dirty Inning coming later this month as well. And like John said at the top of the show, spring training gets underway. Great time to grab a beach read, and it's a great time to read Summer of the Cheap Wieners, even though it is not yet summer. So seek it out at your local bookseller today, please.
There you go. Liz, final thoughts.
My father has started reading Summer of the Cheap Wieners and is already loving it.
Oh,
and I think that might be my only final thought, though. Maybe I'll shout out my parents, who I think might be currently driving at the moment while they're listening to this, while they're driving to see my sister. So, hi guys. I saw you like an hour and a half ago. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, there you go. It's nice when you can actually say to your parents through the radio, "I'm watching you." As they're driving along. So that's lovely thoughts.
Medium of radio, famous for watching.
Exactly. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this edition of Hittin' Season. Want to encourage everybody to make sure to follow the show on Spotify. We are trying to build up that audience over there, so even if you listen to us on a different platform, if you can head over to Spotify and just follow the show, it'll help other Philadelphia Phillies fans find us over on that podcast platform. And, of course, all the roundtable shows that we do during the regular season are hosted on the WHYY YouTube channel, so I want you to subscribe to the WHYY YouTube channel, and you can watch us on your streaming device or on your computer, your phone, wherever it is that you want to stream YouTube content. WHYY's got a lot of good stuff over there, so you might want to check it out and check out some of the other podcasts they have as well. And want to encourage everybody, too, if you want to send an email to the show, hittinseason@billypenn.com is how you get us, hittinseason@billypenn.com. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to just be a part of the show, you can record a voice memo and talk to us, and we'll play it on the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time right here on Hittin' Season.